The Gentiles of the New Testament. We're going to go into that. Who are the Gentiles? It's so easy to simply just say the Gentiles are anybody who's a non Israelite, close the book, wipe your hands, and just call it a day. But when you think like that, the problem is there's a lot of discrepancies. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of contradictions. The Bible doesn't make a lot of sense if everybody who is not an Israelite or a Jew is a Gentile. And let me show you how and why it doesn't make sense. This is Revelations chapter uh wait one second. This is Revelations chapter 11 and verse 1 through verse 2. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. So that's the prophecy. It says the holy city shall they tread under 42 months. This lesson isn't about the 42 months, but basically that's 350 years. It's another lesson. Stay tuned if you want to hear that, but that's not this lesson. And how it equates to 350 years. But verse 2 it says, But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. So there is a separation. There's a separation from the Israelites and from the Gentiles. This is in the New Testament. This belief that the Hamashiach, who is Yahushua, came and died for all the people in the world, and now the Gentiles can come in. There's some issues. Well, if the Gentiles come in, let's go to Galatians chapter, should be 3. Yeah, flip right there to it. Galatians chapter 3 and verse, I'll start with 23. Galatians 3 and 23, it says, But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto faith, which should afterwards be revealed. So this is Paul speaking. Paul was what? Apostle to the Gentiles. So he's talking to the Gentiles. And he's saying, read it again. But before faith came, we were kept under the law. Now, does anybody see a contradiction here? The Gentiles were never kept under the law. Never. The law was given to who? The Israelites. Those are the ones who were giving the laws, statutes, and commandments. Just to reiterate this, we go to Psalms 147, 19, and verse 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. So the Most High didn't show his judgment, his covenant, his statutes, and his laws to Israel. In fact, because we were given the statutes and the law, is why the nations would say this. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. It says, now again, this is Deuteronomy 4 and chapter 5. Now I'll start with Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel. He didn't say all of the world. Hearken, O Israel. Read it again, verbatim. Deuteronomy 4 and 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh God your fathers giveth you. I'm going to skip down. It's a beautiful read if you want to continue reading. But I'm going to skip down to verse 5. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear of these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So the Gentiles, they were not given the law. In fact, because we keep the law, the Gentiles are going to be like, wow, look at the laws that they have. Look at the judgments and statutes that they have. That's a good nation right there. And we're supposed to be an example. They wouldn't say that if they were given the laws. They'd be like, hey, we keeping all the same laws. But no, they're looking to Israel and saying, wow, man, that's some good laws that they got going on, some good judgments that's righteous over there. They are wise and understanding people. Why? Because the law of God is what makes you smart and wise and intelligent. Now, back over here in Galatians, it says, but before faith came, we were kept under the law. So who were the we that were kept under the law? Was it the natural Gentiles? No. Was it Israel? Yes. In fact, breaking the statutes and the laws is why Israel would constantly go into captivity. So now, let's continue reading. But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith, which should afterwards be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Hamashiach, that we might be justified by faith. So again, who was the schoolmaster for the law? The law was whose schoolmaster? Israel's. Reading on. But after faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster, for ye are all the children of God, but faith in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So now it says, we are all the children of God. And yes, this is a true statement. But you have to remember context. This statement that Paul is making is not true if everybody can be a Gentile. I mean, Slacky, not everybody can be a Gentile. If everybody that's a Gentile that he's talking to in the Galatians, that all these Gentiles he's talking to are actual Gentiles that never, that actually come from the loins of anybody other than Israel, such as Ishmael, Edom. Because again, we just read, it says, we were kept under the law. The Gentiles were never kept under the law. So, keep reading. It says, for as many of you as have been baptized into Hamashiach have put on Hamashiach. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. That's the key right there. When we were baptized into Hamashiach. So what is that baptism? that's submerged in that water. Again, this lesson is not about the baptism, but that water is the word. You're submerged in that word, you become born again. You're new. You're a new creature. And you're born of the Spirit. And no longer there's no Jew nor Greek. There's neither bond nor free, nor male nor female. So we're all one. We're all joined together. But now, again, as I stated earlier, it doesn't make sense if everybody that Paul's talking to in the Galatians are actual natural Gentiles. But let's get some understanding and clarity. There are two types of Gentiles. Mark this in your notes. If you're driving and listening, if you're on your lunch break or eating, or you're cooking, you don't got your undivided attention, you really can't really take notes and listen when got your divided attention into something. So there's two different types of Gentiles. There are the Gentiles who are actually the other nations, other than Israel. But also you have the Gentiles who are what? The northern kingdom. And if you want to go even further, Judah became Gentiles. Because why? We're acting in a Gentile state of mind. So, how does this make sense? Let's go and get some history. A Gentile is someone who is what? A non-Israelite. Let's go into 1 Kings 11, and I think it's verse 20. It's in the verse 20s, I know that for sure. This is 1 Kings 11 and verse 29. I'll start with verse 28. 1 Kings 11 and 28. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man, that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, found him in the way. And he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, Take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith Yahweh, the God of Israel, Behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and give 10 tribes to thee. So this is the prophecy that Ahijah is telling to Jeroboam. You're going to be in charge of 10 of these tribes. That's where you get the northern kingdom. And if you continue reading, northern kingdom split, and they basically had issues, beef, and they revolted, and there was a lot of issues with the northern kingdom and southern kingdom. Now, we're going to fast forward a little bit, but however, all this forwarding is not going to take anything out of context. We're going to go to Hosea chapter 1. This is Hosea chapter 1 and verse 1. And it reads, The word of Yahweh that came unto Hosea the son of Beri in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel. It says, the beginning of the word of Yahweh by Hosea, and the word, and Yahweh said unto Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of whoredoms, and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredoms, departing from Yahweh. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. And Yahweh said unto him, Call his name Jezreel. For yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. Remember, this is prophecy. Verse 5, And it shall come to pass at that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. And she conceived again, and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, Call her name Laruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel. Now remember, house of Israel, when we just read in 1 Kings chapter 11, they were divided. The house of Israel were 10 tribes. Reading on, Hosea 1 and 6, it says, For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, meaning the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Reading on, and will save them by Yahweh their God, and they will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Now when she had weaned Laruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said God, Call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. There is when the northern kingdom becomes Gentiles. So he said, I'm not even your God, you're not my people. So if you're not God's people, he's not going to be your God. What are you? You're a Gentile. However, you are biologically of the seed of Abraham by way of Isaac and Jacob. But he's saying, nah, nope, I'm not doing this. Get away from me. You're not my people no more. And he's saying that to the house of Israel. Reading on. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured, nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God. Then shall the children of Israel, then shall the children of Judah and children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head. So now it talks about, first there's a separation, remember, but it says, verse 11, Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together. When does this occur? So you got the prophet of Ahijah prophesied about a split. He gave them 10 garments. Hosea is now talking about, then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land. For great shall be the day of Jezreel. They shall come up out of the land. Well, what land is that talking about? Israel went into the Assyrian captivity. Judah went into Babylonian captivity. They went in two separate captivities. You hear that in 1 Kings chapter, 2 Kings the 17th chapter and like the 18th chapters as well, about basically Israel going into captivity. That was basically their 70 AD. 2 Kings chapter 17 and chapter 17 and chapter 18. That was basically their 70 AD. So they've been gone. Then the king of Babylon basically devoured uh, Judah. So then we went into captivity. And so now it says, then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. They'll appoint themselves one head, and then they'll come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. So now it talks about them coming together, not coming together with heathens. It talks about Judah and Israel coming back together. And so, understanding that, let's go also to Paul in Romans. This is Romans chapter 11 and verse uh, Romans chapter 11 and verse, so many places to start. Excuse me. Uh, this is Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. It says, I say then, have God cast away the people, his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. That's southern kingdom, right? God have not cast away his people which he foreknew. What ye not what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, how will they have killed the prophets and digged down thine altars, and I have left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then at this present time, there is a remnant according to election of grace. So he's saying there's still, Israel is basically around. And so, skipping down just a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to Romans chapter 9. Because this is a killer too. Matter of fact, let me stay in 11 so I don't confuse. And the spirit takes me there, perhaps, but let me not get a little bipolar and jump chapters. This is Romans chapter 11 and verse, skipping down, and it says, 13. Uh, I'll start with 13. It says, for I speak to you Gentiles, insomuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify mine office. But if any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them by the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be? But life from the dead. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree, wert grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and the fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God on them which fell. Severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, they shall be grafted in. And God is able to graft them in again. That is the key word. God is able to graft them in again. What does the word again mean? Repeat. Verse 24, for if thou were cut off of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree. So, notice it's talking about an olive tree being grafted into another olive tree. It's not talking about an olive tree being grafted into an apple tree. It's the same thing that was there being grafted right back in. Read it again. It says, for if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? They're both olive trees. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 4 and verse 6, I believe. I know it's chapter 4 for sure. That's Zephaniah. Here's Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 4, verse. It's not 6, so it'd have to be 11. Zechariah 4 and verse 11. Then answered I and said unto him, what are these two olive trees unto the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? So, two olive trees. They're separate, but guess what? They're both olive trees. The olive tree is going to give birth to another olive tree. They're two separate, but they're still olive trees. And he's asking, a prophet is asking, like, what these two olive trees represent. You need to know this. Verse 12, and I answered again and said unto him, what be these two olive branches which go through the two golden pipes, empty the golden oil out of themselves? Okay, it says, notice he asked twice. He really wants to know. Verse 13, and he answered me and said, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my Yahweh. He said, no, my Adoniah. He said, no, I don't know. Verse 14, then said he, these are the two anointed ones that stand by Yahweh of the whole earth. So, this is twofold. The two anointed ones, Joshua and Zerubbabel. But also, the olive trees represent the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Real quick, Jeremiah 11 and 6, I believe, 16. Yep, Con. This is Jeremiah 11 and 16. Yahweh called thy name a green olive tree. This is talking about Israel. Yahweh God, the Yahweh called thy name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. With the noise of a great tumult, he hath kindled fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken off. Notice the branches are being broke off of the olive tree. It wasn't completely consumed. The branches were just broken off. For Yahweh of God, for Yahweh of hosts, that planted thee, have pronounced evil against thee, for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me to anger, and offering incense unto Baal. That olive tree is what? Israel. Going back to Romans. Or did I get all the point I wanted to make out of Zechariah? I believe so. But yeah, but Zechariah 11, 4 and 11 and 4 and 12, those two olive trees by the candlestick, that's talking about northern kingdom and southern kingdom. So now, one olive tree, the branches are being broken off and they're grafted in, contrary to the southern tribe. So they're basically being grafted in. They're still both olive trees though. So the stick is basically being one in his hand. So he's basically, that's the northern kingdom being grafted back in into the southern kingdom. Verse 20, Romans 11:23, and they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. For if thou were cut off of the olive tree which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to, excuse me, I'll read that again. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. All Israel shall be saved. Why is he telling that to actual Gentiles who are actually of other nations? If he just said in Galatians, there's neither Jew nor Greek nor Gentile, for we all are one. Meaning what? We're all grafted in, we're all of that same olive tree. But it makes absolutely no sense if he's just taking Moabites and Ammonites and grafting them in and just saying, hey, that's confusion. If we're all one, why are we differentiate? Why is he saying I'm a Benjamite? That makes no sense. I hope this lesson has been edifying. And on that note, I'm gonna give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who were well. Peace, salutations, and shalom.